Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Hi, Lovey. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm on the East Coast today. So, I'm sorry, y'all. I meant to start a little bit earlier, but child, it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. But put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. Put a 1 in the comments if you can hear me clearly. We're going to be talking about how you cannot achieve a new reality with an old identity. And so I'm going to be breaking that down today. So come on in, come on in, come on in. I'm super excited about today's topic. I think the last time I went live was what? Monday for this week? Because this has been so much I've had to do, y'all. It's been so much, so much, so much. So, hey, lady of the house. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate the gifts. Thank y'all for being here. So today we're talking about how you cannot achieve a new reality with an old identity. Thank you, my lovey. Thank you so much for these gifts and these likes. So I have a goal today of getting to 30,000 likes. Okay. So here's the thing when it comes down to likes. Thank you so much for these gifts and these likes. Okay. I want you to sow value where you're getting value, right? So if you don't feel like you're getting value from what I'm saying, don't feel the need to sow into, hey, emotional foundations is life changing. Yes. Look, I can't wait till I get back so we could talk about it because I want to talk about it. We're going to talk about it in person. So I want to talk about it. So yes, y'all see this. Let me screenshot that. Y'all, emotional foundations definitely is that girl. Okay. She gonna get you right. Thank y'all so much for being here. So the way that I operate when it comes down to the likes is like this. If you're receiving value, what I ask is for you to sow value. I know that's right, boo. I know that's right. It's to sow value. And so what I ask you to do is sow value into your own ecosystem, your own universe. And what that looks like is when you understand spiritual law, you know that when whatever you sow, you're going to reap. So if you sow discord, you're going to reap discord. If you sow value, you're going to reap value. If you sow joy, you're going to reap joy. Okay. That doesn't mean that you're going to get it exactly from where you sowed into, okay? But by law, it is guaranteed to you. And the one thing about the Most High Creator of all things is that the Most High honors law, period, okay? The Most High honors law. So you can find yourself in the space of sowing amazing things, okay? Hold on, let me send this. Okay, yeah. Sowing amazing things into your own life. I have this philosophy that I live by. I'm always met with fruit. I'm always met with fruit. I'm always met with fruit. And what that means is I'm always dropping seeds everywhere I go, seeds of value. So I'm always met with fruit. So I never lack anything. There's no such thing as lack. There's no such thing as loss. And there's no such thing as failure when it comes down to kingdom business, okay? So with that being said, thank you so much for these gifts and these likes. With that being said, so if you receive value from this, make sure you sow value. Y'all, I'm not going to be on here long because y'all know y'all like to keep me on here real long, but I really got to go somewhere and I'm going to be there on time. So we're not doing a 2-hour live today. Okay. I'm sticking to it. So, but this is going to be really, really good, extremely valuable because we're in a season right now of creation. Women are creating brand new identities. Women are in a space where they're creating brand new lives. And it's a perfect time to do this because spiritually it's the time, energetically it's the time. And if you really tap into it, you really can create a different reality for yourself. I've been telling you guys probably for the last year that the decisions you make in 2025 and in 2026 are going to determine your next 20 years. So set yourself up. If you know you didn't do what you needed to do in 2025, you still have time to do it here in 2026. Now 2027 and beyond, you might miss something. So don't miss it, okay? Don't miss it. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Elle Antoinette. I'm a psychological identity strategist. And what I do specifically is I support my amazing clients. My clients are high capacity women, okay? Hi, loving. My clients are high capacity women and I support them in stabilizing internal hierarchy, okay? Because what I need for women to understand is that when internal hierarchy is not stabilized, money, health, relationships tend to fragment under pressure because there's no foundation, okay? And so what I'm here to do is support my clients in stabilizing their hierarchy. Once they stabilize that internal hierarchy, what happens is that money increases, relationships reorganize on their own. Hi, Lovey. And health regulates, okay? Those are my top 3 results. Women that come to work with me make more money. Women that come to work with me get healthier. Women that come to work with me also have better relationships with the masculine, and they're able to sustain healthy relationships with the feminine. Because I don't like the way y'all be abandoning y'all friends when a man come along. I think y'all be forgetting that we're the communal species and men are not. Okay? So I want us to understand that and stick to that. Okay? So that is why I'm here. Today we're going to be talking about, if you see me looking down, y'all know I brought my iPad with me out of town. So I am here with my my iPad. So if you see me looking down, that's what you'll see me looking at, my notes. Okay? So we're talking about today how you cannot, keyword cannot, achieve a new reality with an old identity. We are right now, and y'all hear me when I say this, I know that the world appears to be very, very chaotic, but I need you to remember, especially if you say that you are a believer, that Ephesians 6:12 is very real. Don't get caught up in the glamour, magic, and the illusions. Understand that this is a war of darkness and principalities. This is not what you think it is. I'm not going to get into that right now, but do your research is what I'm going to tell you. If you watch my last live, which is up on YouTube right now, saying that you're too nice, I broke it down a little bit more. I went into detail about some things, about why some stuff going on. And you can go over there and look at it, because I ain't going to do it today. Okay? All right. You're welcome, lovey. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. You cannot achieve a new reality with an old identity. Right now, a big ploy, or the biggest plot that's happening with everything that's happening in the world right now, the goal is to get you off your square. The goal is for you to be exhausted spiritually, so that you cannot fathom or even think mentally, so that you cannot control your emotional responses, so that you act out physically, so that you either, not do what you need to do, block money, block relationships, block the things that you need to block. Block the things that you need in order to get to the next level. So the goal is to literally get you off your square. And the quickest way to get you off your square, and I talked about this last live, the worst position you can be in as a human being, especially living where you are, if you're living in the States, is for you to have low self-worth. When society plays on you having low self-worth, so that you will eat your emotions and become extremely overweight, and so that you get sick and depend on their system. This is coming from somebody who used to be extremely overweight. This is coming from somebody who supported clients who have lost anywhere from 20 pounds to 90 pounds. I'm not a joke. I'm not a game when it comes down to this type of stuff. So the goal is to get you so off your square that you're emotionally eating, you're impulsively spending, okay? You are not conscious of your words, of your actions, and of the truth. That is the overall goal, because when you are in that state, you become your own enemy. And according to scripture, the enemy has come to steal, kill, and destroy. So the real enemy, the real goal is to make you become an enemy of yourself, so that you destroy yourself and you miss the mark, which is to sin. Sin means to miss the mark. Okay. To miss the mark is for you not to show up on your assignment the way that you're supposed to be showing up on your assignment. Okay. So that is the ultimate goal, for them to block you from becoming who you are supposed to be in this society and in this world, because that actually shifts the collective if you become who you're supposed to be. So I need to keep you in a state of mind. Thank you, my loving. I need to keep you in a state of mind to where you do not value yourself, so that you do not understand your worth, so that you can become your own enemy first by stealing your own joy, which kills your confidence over a while, which eventually, once you kill the confidence, it's a breaking of the spirit that happens, so that you self-destruct. That is the goal. What I am here on assignment to do is to remind you of who you are, so you start operating from that, and you really detach, and you really come out of this matrix, because it is a system that has been set up, several systems that have been set up to basically get you to not be grounded spiritually, so that you don't operate in the fullness of your power. So I'm here to help you get that back. And my track record is amazing. Okay. I've helped thousands of women. I'm not new to this. I'm very true to it. All right. So like I said, my top 3 results is women that come to work with me make more money. Women get healthier, okay? And women tend to have better relationships with the masculine, and they're able to sustain healthy relationships with the feminine, all right? So happy Feminine Friday. Let's get ready to get into it, because you cannot, and I do mean cannot, achieve a new reality with an old identity. It's the equivalent to you being on a team, being promoted to a leader, a manager on that team, and thinking that you still have to maneuver like someone who was on that team. Okay. You cannot lead from the space of where you were when you were simply on the team. And we're going to get into that. Okay. So I want to start with, and like I said, you see me looking down, I'm looking at my iPad. So I want to start with something that most people never really want to hear. And if this is your first time joining me, just know I'm a truth teller. I'm feminine, but I'm extremely firm. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to do a bunch of crazy stuff, but I will gather you up in a very feminine and firm way. And this is what this is going to be. Okay. It's a gathering. We're having a gathering today. So come on in. All right. You can only get what you're willing to embody. Correct. And here's the thing. And if you're not embodying the truth, it's not going to sustain. It's not going to last anyway. Okay. So anyway, I want to start with something that most people really don't like hearing. You can't achieve a new reality with an old identity, period. Okay. You cannot achieve a new life with the same internal structure that created the current one. Okay. And this is the reason, thank you, my love, for these gifts. This is the reason that women with PhDs get played by men with GEDs. Okay? This is the reason right here. A big reason why women with PhDs get played by men with GEDs. Okay? Yes, it will. And what I mean by that is because women try to create new realities with old identities, it's the reason why intelligent women stay stuck. Not because they lack strategy, but it's simply because they're trying to install new behaviors on top of an identity that was built for survival. Let me put you on game and let me be clear on something. If your identity is rooted in being a people pleaser because that is what you had to be your entire life growing up, that is the identity that you had to be able to create to be able to deal with your mother or deal with the dynamics of what was happening in your reality and in your home, you're not going to be able to take that people pleaser identity into business and think that you're going to be able to stack on top of that, because that is a weak foundation and it is going to crumble. Get into it, and good night. Good evening and good night. Good morning, actually. Okay. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, and thank you for these likes. All right. So you can't be operating from a people pleaser energy and think that you're going to scale your business to the next level. You can't operate from a people pleasing energy and think that you're going to have a successful marriage. You can't build from a people pleaser identity and believe that you're going to be able to create a reality where you live in the fruit of peace. That is not going to happen for you. Okay. And like I said, you cannot create a new reality on top of these old identities. It just does not work. Okay. It does not work. Everything in this reality, everything in every single reality, it begins with identity. It begins with identity. Okay. That's one reason why I'm a psychological identity strategist. Thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes, because I understand that everything literally begins with the psychology behind you understanding your identity. Okay. The thing is this, and the reason why I say everything in reality starts with identity, because it goes like this. There's identity, then identity influences belief. Belief influences your thoughts. Your thoughts result in your thoughts bring forth your behavior, and your behavior delivers a result. Straight like that. If you were raised as a child to know that you are a princess who eventually is going to become a queen, guess what you're going to believe your entire life? That you are a princess that is going to turn into a queen, right? So you're going to operate from the identity of a princess. A princess does not believe, okay, that she is a peasant. Therefore, her thoughts are not going to come or be from or peasant thoughts, okay? She's not going to behave like a peasant because her thoughts are not peasant thoughts. And so the results that she tends to get are going to be that of one of a princess or a queen, but it all started with her understanding her identity. Let me tell you something about this society. This society wants to confuse you. This society wants you to not know your identity so that you don't know how to operate. This is why so many people are walking around here looking for labels. This is why so many people are walking around here looking to identify themselves a certain kind of way. This is how people find their identity in attachment styles and different things like that. Y'all are not realizing that you're putting yourself under spells And that is exactly what society wants. Because again, I told you, they want you to not know who you are, so you operate different, so that you have no access to your power. And when you have no access to your power, you always become a victim in every single experience because you appear to be powerless. When the reality is you're just not tapped into your power because you don't know who you are. So you have to understand that you are a spirit being having a human experience, and the human experience is an energetic experience. Okay. So the things that you think, the things that you speak, the things that you take action on, your efforts, all those things, they make a huge difference. It is extremely important for you to be clear. See, a lot of us were taught scripture from a point of tradition and like chopping it down and making you believe things that are not real, when the reality is the scripture is nothing but a code. It's a book of codes. And when you sit with it long enough, right, and you begin to really read it and dissect it, the codes become tattooed on your heart. And when they become tattooed on your heart, what happens is out of the mouth, the heart speaks. So you can, if you want to know where somebody's heart is, listen to what they say. See, I can recognize a bitter woman all day long because of the things that comes out of her mouth. Because what's in her heart is pain. What's in her heart is consistently being a victim. What's in her heart is feeling powerless to this society, in this world. And she has given up. So she's settled on the frequency of anger about her life. And so everything that comes out of her mouth is what her heart is, her heart posture. And as women, we either become better or we become bitter as we age, right? I'm 42 years old, so I'm committed to getting better. Okay, every single day, 1% better, because that is what is important and that is what is vital. Thank y'all so much for these follows and these gifts. So again, remember, everything in this reality, in all realities, I don't care what reality you create, everything begins with identity. Okay, thank you, my love, for these gifts. It's identity that influences your beliefs. Your beliefs are going to influence the thoughts that consistently go into your mind, okay? Those thoughts are going to impact your behavior, and that behavior is going to deliver a result. This is why I always tell y'all, belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way you behave. If you don't believe me, I want you to think about a pregnancy scare. You really thought you were pregnant. I say this all the time. You throwing up, huh? You sleep? You can smell the ocean in Japan, and you live in California, but you can smell the ocean in Japan because your nose is so sensitive, right? Until you go to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, you're not pregnant. Then the throwing up stops. Then the sleepiness stops. Then you can't smell what's in your own house. Okay? All of those things stop. Why? Because the brain, you tricked the brain into believing that you were pregnant. So the brain basically was like, okay, so what do we know about pregnancy? Let's bring up what we know about pregnancy, and let's get those symptoms rolling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, but when you get the test that says it's negative, it's like, oh my God, okay, so I'm not pregnant. So the brain says, oh, we're not pregnant. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go back to normal. Okay. Belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way that you behave. This is why it's very important for you to be clear on who you are. The reason why you see women like myself or other women who are operating in the fullness of their power is because they know who they are. It's because they know who they are. Okay. When you know who you are, you know how to operate. When you don't know who you are, you choose a character, much like a game. Okay. So I want you to look at society like a game, right? It's a video game. And when you are not sure of yourself and who you are, you will choose a character to play in this game. Now, here's where the problem tends to come in with this. Okay. Exactly. You're picking an avatar. So you're picking a character to be able to assimilate in this game, right? Here's the problem with that. When you can only play a character for so long, you can only play a role for so long before you end up crashing. So when women come to work with me, a lot of times they're on the brink of crashing because they've built their identity or they've chosen a character that wasn't really authentic to them. And so much like a mask, when you have it on your face, okay, it begins to smother you. You begin to not be able to breathe because it's not your face. It's not your face. You're covering your breath. And for some people, they might look at this and call it an identity crisis because it tends to happen sometimes late 20s, sometimes late 30s, right? And so what ends up happening is that you have this identity crisis. And I have to tell women all the time, there is no such thing as an identity crisis. There's no such thing as an identity crisis. There is no such thing as an identity crisis. What's actually happening in your reality is that you hit a fork in the road. And your reality is facing you saying, hey, we're going to keep living fake, or we're going to start living for real. Now, living for real going to be scary as hell a little bit, because you don't really know where it's going. It's kind of going to make you, have a little anxiousness about what your next steps are, because you are nervous about the unknown. But if you can just trust the one that created you and walk this path, then things are going to shift for you. But if you continue to go down this way, then your body's going to start breaking down from the lie you keep trying to hold up. And this is how people start getting really ill and sick towards the late 30s and early 40s, because you've been carrying all this time. You've been being fake all this time. Hi, Lovey. Happy Feminine Friday. Y'all remember I have a goal of 30,000 today, likes. So if you're receiving value, please sow value into your own ecosystem, because according to spiritual law, whatever a man sows, you shall reap. So if you sow value, you receive value, it will be met to you. Okay. So I want you to consider that and kind of think about that. If you've been in this life and you've been playing a character, right? You've been playing a role. Eventually that role is going to come to an end, and you're going to have to face the reality. And that midlife crisis is not a crisis. It's an initiation. Either you're going to pass the initiation or you're going to fail the initiation. But you're going to have to choose. Your mama can't do it. Your man can't do it. Your sister, friend, auntie, nobody can do it but you. This is you and you. This is you versus you, okay? And you have to make the real decision about what you're going to do, or if you keep playing this character, it's going to crack you. Have you ever seen The Mask by Jim Carrey? Let me tell you something. You want to look at a real initiation process? Watch The Mask with Jim Carrey. Watch The Mask with Jim Carrey, and you'll be able to see. Okay? So again, everything in reality, thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. And I'm gonna answer questions towards the end, y'all, but I can't answer a whole lot. But hold them for me, because I gotta be somewhere. But I got y'all. Okay, so remember, everything begins in this reality. It begins with identity. Okay, so identity to belief, belief to thought, thought to behavior, behavior to result. But most women reverse the process. And let me tell you how low down this society is. Let me tell you how we really dealing with darkness and principalities and stuff like that, and how much, this dark state really, really hates you being in your power. They flip that whole thing around. So instead of you understanding your identity so that you get the results that are aligned with you, they taught you to chase results. Hustle. They taught you to chase results. See, everything the Most High tells you to do, that's going to keep you in the state of peace, love, joy, and all of these things. Society turns around and tells you to do the complete opposite. So it has you, women are chasing results. You're chasing marriage. You're chasing a check. You coming into the gate on a date with a man saying that I'm not playing with nobody. My intention is for marriage. Ma'am, you don't even know if he's a serial killer yet. Close your mouth, beloved. Close your mouth, beloved. Sit back and assess what is in front of you. Sit back and allow the Creator to reveal to you who this individual is before you just start spewing off how you waiting on marriage and you want marriage and this and this and that. Now he know how to play on your top. See, you got to stop giving people ammo to shoot you and then get mad when you get shot. Okay? You have to stop doing that. And that's what happens when you're chasing a result. Society told you to chase a result. Okay? Women also chase motivation, because society amps up motivation when motivation is literally by the moment. You can be motivated 1 minute and it could be gone, which is why I tell people that motivation is not sustainable. You should not be leaning on that. I need to be motivated. See, that's society talking. They also taught you to chase excitement, which is why a lot of you think intensity is intimacy. See, this is why a lot of you think that intensity is intimacy, because they told you to chase excitement. So now, because you're sitting in a scenario that is boring, you don't think it aligns or it works for you, because it's not giving you a thrill. It's not giving you a thrill. And I'm going to be very honest with you. If you want a healthy relationship, if you want a booming business, if you want a life that you love, you need to get comfortable with boredom. You need to get comfortable with boredom. And the reason why a lot of y'all are bored is because you don't have hobbies. And a lot of y'all don't even be bored. Y'all just don't fool with yourselves. Or I'm just so bored. Are you in the best shape that you feel good? Do you feel good about yourself? How's your bank account? See, you got stuff to do. How is your health? Oh, you got stuff to do. Do you feel beautiful? Like what have you done what you need to do for you while you're worried about boredom? Because I'm gonna keep it real with you, as a person who has built a multi six-figure business from the ground up, it's quite boring. Okay? It's quite boring because you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? So if you're not okay with that, thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. If you're not okay with that, then business is not for you. Business is not for you. Okay? So the thing is, we need to pay attention to that. Okay? Ooh, think about it. Get into it. All of these things. Exactly. You worried about what this person's doing and you ain't even taking care of your own health. Insanity. You're chasing excitement. You're chasing outcomes. But this is what society does to you. It positions you to do that and to operate the complete opposite from the way that you are authentically designed. And when you chase results first, when you chase motivation, when you chase excitement, when you chase the outcome without understanding that there is an architectural, like there's a process to it, to producing this outcome, then you get uncomfortable. See, society likes to trick you and make you feel like you get these fast results because we live in a popcorn society, when in reality, nothing is popcorn. They trick you into believing everything is a popcorn and is quick, when in reality, it's not. Do you understand what's happening right now in the world that seems like this big catastrophe? Do you understand that things that are happening right now have been in play for years? Do you understand that this has been in play for decades? Do you understand that this, like, everything is on time? These people use glamour magic, astrological calendars to do things. Did you know that when they went over and hit that country, and I'm not going to get too heavy into it, it was astrological timing. It was perfect astrological timing. Let me tell you something. Like I told you, you're not dealing with people, you're dealing with principalities. See, y'all too focused on what you see. You looking at people and you thinking you seeing people. Sweetheart, do you understand, in order for us to get off, you know why they don't know how the pyramids were built? Do you know why they can't figure out why the pyramids were built or how they were built? It's because the pyramids were built with spiritual knowledge. It was secret knowledge that was given. You understand? It was secret knowledge that was given to people who built the pyramids. That's why can't nobody figure it out. Do you also understand that they're using secret knowledge to do the things that they're doing now? This technology that we get, you think these people are just that smart? Solomon, you speaking now. Solomon had a ring to control the demons, sure did. And baby, don't get me started there. Every time they came down, he put that ring on them and he could pull them in. And then he would get the archangel to come and pin. Don't get me started. Y'all know I do this. So just go read the Ethiopian scripture. So understand that this technology and these things that are coming out, all this new things, and so y'all think they're getting it on their own accord. No, baby. They have connection with occult knowledge, and they're using that knowledge to oppress you. Okay? Because if you don't know who you are, then you can't come to power, which is how they can stay in power. The reason why they're pushing this whole thing on you and you feels like that is because these people are afraid to meet their maker, because they know that they've taken occult knowledge to oppress people, which is a high level spiritual violation. And they know they're going to have to pay for that. This is why they're trying to extend their lifeline. This is why they're trying to extend their bloodline. That's why they're so concerned with the mix. That's why they're so concerned. Okay? I done already told y'all they be making sacrifices to their deity. They be making sacrifices to their deity. These, anytime you see children being harmed, you speaking, Robin, you know something. You know something. And the other one that start with a B. You know something. Anytime you see, okay, children being harmed, those are sacrifices to deities. There is one specific deity. There we go. That's the name right there. That specific deity that Joanne put up here. That deity, the way that you make sacrifices to that deity is you pass children through the fire. What does a bomb do? What does a bomb do? I ain't gonna get too okay. I gotta go back. I gotta go back because y'all gonna get me off. But for the ones who know, y'all know. All you gotta do is go read. All you gotta do is go read. All you gotta do is go read. These people you ain't dealing with people, you're dealing with darkness and principalities. And their goal is to trick you out of your spot, because if you don't know who you are, then they get to stay in the position that they are. Okay? So again, they teach you and tell you to go against your authentic nature. Your authentic nature, okay? They're setting the rain to eat. Listen, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. Everything begins with identity. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments, because identity influences your belief, your thoughts, your behavior, your result. Let me tell y'all something else. Oh, I don't know if I can say that. I'm going to try to say it in a way where I don't get banned, y'all. Hold tight. I'm asking the Holy Spirit for permission. Hold on. I'm going to have to come back to that so I could figure out how to say that right. Because I need to say it in a way to where, no, I am going to say it like this. So let me tell y'all something. Because a certain group of people claim, keyword, hear me now. I'm talking in code, but I need you to hear what I'm saying for those who understand. There's a certain group of people who believe or who claim that their identity is rooted in the Creator, right? That they are the Creator's chosen people, right? And they have spent a lot of decades and time trying to convince people that this is their authentic identity. And people have believed that, and out of that identity, they believe, they thought, and they behave a certain kind of way, which is why things are resulting the way they are resulting. But the truth is, and what's being revealed consistently, is that that is not their identity. Hello. That is not their identity. They stole that identity from the true people, and then they brainwashed the true people into believing that they were nothing so that they would destroy themselves and they would miss the mark with the Creator. And I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? This is why they can't do DNA tests over there. Because if you do the DNA test, it's going to tell the truth about you and how you've been attacking the real ones. I'm finna stop though, because I can't do too much because they're going to try to ban this out. But that's how powerful identity is. See, DNA always reveals the truth, which is why you can't do DNA tests over there. You can't do DNA tests over there. Try. They ain't having it. But let me get back into it. So they tricked you. They took your identity, your beliefs, your thoughts, your behavior, and created results that they wanted. And then tricked you into believing that you need to chase results, chase motivation, chase excitement, chase the outcome, without understanding the architecture that's actually producing the outcome. Because there's always an architecture that produces the outcome. Even when it comes down to losing weight, there's an architecture that produces the outcome. You have to shift in order to produce that outcome. And here's the thing about most people, right? Thank you, my love. And thank y'all so much for these comments and these gifts. I'm seeing them, but they're coming so fast. When you realize that there's an architecture that's producing that outcome. Hi, my lovey. This is when the process becomes uncomfortable for people, because now you realize it's not a quick fix. Now you realize it's not fast. Even how they've been deceiving us. Let me tell you something. I'm 42, right? So I was a 90s baby. I mean, 80s baby, 90s kid. And so when I was growing up, cartoons was a big thing, right? I remember there was a time where you couldn't show certain things on Saturday cartoons, and you couldn't even advertise until around Christmas time when it came down to children, because parents went down there and acted a fool about what they were putting on television, right? They went down there and they started acting a fool about the things that they were trying to do, right? So somewhere along the lines, those things got blurred. And over time, they slowly started to seed things into television. They started to seed deception. They started to seed destruction. They started to seed these things in television content. Because ultimately, television tells a vision. If you go back to the dude who actually created the television, he will tell you, television is to, let me break this down for you. Television tells a vision. When you turn on the television, right? When you turn on the television, what happens? You have to hit a guide. I just want y'all to pay attention to the wording, but do whatever you want to do. Hi, Lovey. So you hit the guide button, right? And when you hit the guide button, there is an appearance of channels. Okay? So on these channels is syndicated programming. On these channels is syndicated programming. So while you're watching a television, when it's off, it's actually a Black Mirror. That's a whole nother conversation. Y'all know the Black Mirror series? It's a whole nother conversation, but I ain't gonna get there. But thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. But what I want you to understand is that they are channeling syndicated programming into your mind to get you to be further disconnected from who you need to be. This is exactly why when you detach from social media, you detach from digitally detox, you feel better, you have more clarity, you feel more at peace, and all of these things. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. It's because you're detached from the programming and you get to actually program yourself. This is why I make it very important and make it very clear that you should be commanding your morning every single morning. If you are not commanding your morning, then you are being commanded. If the first thing you do is get online, you're being commanded by the algorithm of TikTok. If your first thing you do is get online, and when you get up in the morning, you're being commanded by that. That's taking your emotions hostage, whether you realize it or not. These are things that we are not paying attention to. They have been doing this for a while. See, they don't need to tell you a vision via television anymore. They can just tell you on a black screen on your phone. They can just tell you on a black screen on your phone. And just imagine you waking up early in the morning and you getting on TikTok and you seeing something and it throws your emotions out of balance. Who is your master? You allowing TikTok to be your master. You allowing social media, which is a fabricated reality on top of physical reality, to rule you in a way to where you can't even ground yourself in real reality. Can I tell you the truth about why Gen Z struggles with social anxiety? Can I tell you the truth of why a lot of Gen Z struggles with social anxiety? It is because they struggle. They were born into this. I don't have judgment for Gen Z or Gen Alpha or even Gen Beta is small, right? I don't have judgment for them because millennials, we grew up during the development of things, right? Gen Z grew up in social media reality. So they grew up in a reality, and this is with benefit. This is a good part of it. They grew up in a reality where you can become anything you want. You can create the reality that you want. You can do all of these things in this reality. That's a really good thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The problem comes into play is because they can't ground themselves in real reality. They can't ground themselves in real reality. That's why they struggle socially. Because we grew up in a space where we had to be in school with each other. We had to do this. We were playing. We were this. We were that, right? Thank you, my love, for these gifts. There were scenarios where we had to be in proximity with one another. You have to understand that that generation and beyond was literally created and born into this. This is why a lot of them struggle to create friendships, and friendships are created based on things like clout chasing and different things like that, right? So the thing is, you have to understand the reality that they grew up in. Now that you understand that this reality is the one that you grew up in, you have to find a way to ground yourself, right? In the reality of this earth. The digital reality, and I talked about this on live, right? We talked about this on live. So when we're talking about the digital reality, you're supposed to create the digital reality, okay? Bring the digital reality and create in the digital reality and bring it into the world. This is how people are able to make money. This is how people are able to ground themselves in the truth. And that's going to be very, very important for Gen Z. But I got a whole nother video on that talking about the different realities and all this different stuff, right? But y'all can click the link in the bio to go check that out on my YouTube channel. But all of these things are trying to get you off course. They're trying to get you in a space to where you don't know who you are, and you are powerless in this world, and you get no results. And the more you continue to not get the results you want, what happens? You become very down. You become very broken. And then you get stuck at a state, right? Where you can't seem to rise above. And then everything seems to continue to happen to you. Every single thing continues to, bother you. Every single thing continues to affect you. Nobody's coming into your space, none of these things. And it's because you can't get off the vibrational state that you were on. You cannot create a new reality with that old identity. She gonna have to die. And I ain't even gonna be like unalive. She gonna have to die. You're gonna have to the people pleaser. You're gonna have to the strong one. You're going to have to, the one who's trying to do everything for everybody. You're going to have to get rid of that and get to the truth of who you truly are, or you are not going to thrive. Nothing, I don't care how much they try to make it seem like this is a popcorn reality. Everything is quick. Everything is not quick. Everything is not quick. It has been a slow kill for a long time. They've been planning this stuff. They've been planning these things. It's been. Okay? A lot of us who have not been able to see is new to you. It's not new to them. This plan has been in play for years. You better go back and read 1984. You better go back and read Behold a Pale Horse. You better go back and read these things. You better go back and read scripture. Because these things are so vital and extremely important. Okay? So, when you realize that there is no such thing as a popcorn reality and things are not as quick and they're not this and they're not that, right? People begin to get uncomfortable because they believe like, dang, it's not going to work for me. So because you don't see an immediate result, because you don't see, the reward that you see other people getting, guess what you do? Your nervous system defaults back to the identity that it already knows. Yes. Parable of the Sower in A Brave New World as well. Your identity is going to default back to what you normally do. So if you never got rid of the people pleaser, you're going to be in a space where you are consistently people pleasing. I don't care if you have a whole bunch of money. I don't care if you've so-called built the external achievements. Your nervous system is going to go back to the identity that it knows consistently, period. And if you are honest with yourself, truthfully, you already noticed the cycle of repeating. You know the cycles you keep repeating. You know you keep meeting the same man in a different body. You know this. You already noticed the repetition. Different men, same pattern. Different opportunities, same hesitation. Okay? Different year, same frustrations. Okay? The details change, but the structure doesn't. And that's the issue. That's the red flag. You can recognize the red flag. And you stayed anyway. See, a lot of us will recognize that things are not that, but you will stay anyway. Why do you stay anyway? Not because you're weak, but because the structure is running your decisions that never changed. You never changed the structure. You never changed. I caught that Substack title. Period. You saw it. Because I've been on it with the Substack. Y'all click the link in the bio to get access to the Substack. Okay. 14 years I thought I was being a good person. I understand. I used to be on the whole good girl thing and think all that stuff. Let me tell you something. Good girls finish last because they never put themselves first. The last live I did was you being too nice is what's costing you. You can click the link in the bio at YouTube to go check that out because I went in on that one as well. When you don't shift the structure Nothing changes in your reality. And so let's talk a little bit about the pattern. This is where most advice that people give, it tends to fail, okay? And it tends to fail because people love to talk about outcomes all of the time, but patterns actually begin before the outcome ever even appears. You're welcome, Lovey. All praise to the Most High. Your pattern begins way before the outcome appears, okay? So if you, and let's just talk real now. If you got a pattern of hopping into bed early with folks, right? If you got a pattern of hopping into bed early with folks, your outcome of what you're thinking that you're going to get in this particular scenario is not going to be what you think it is, because you have not dealt with the fact that why you hop into bed with people so quickly, why you're so impulsive with your decision making. Because I'm going to tell you something. Impulsivity is there's a huge connection between emotional eating, hypersexuality, okay? All of those things. And the middle ground of that is impulsivity, not being able to control your impulses. But the reason why you can't control or be disciplined when it comes down to your impulses is because you have not dealt with your appetite. Appetite is your main issue. And when I'm talking about appetite, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about across the board. You need to deal with your appetite. You need to deal with the fact that when emotionally you rise up a certain kind of way, this is how you're moving. You're moving in an impulsive way. See, the woman that spends a whole lot of money quickly, the woman that is very quick and reactionary is the same woman who hops in bed, because the issue is impulsivity. And so you have to deal with why you are being so impulsive. You have to deal with the actual pattern of what's happening, because the pattern begins long before the outcome. Before the breakup, before the burnout, before the money collapses, patterns begin in small amounts of pressure. And this is what a lot of women don't realize. Moments where, how can I say this? Moments where something inside of you just kind of takes control. And inside of every person, there literally is a hierarchy. So if you were in the order code with me, then you know this already, because we broke down the hierarchy of how it really goes. It's supposed to be identity first, mind second, emotions third, okay? And then it goes into behavior and all those things. But see, what women are not understanding is that something tends to lead, okay? Something tends to lead when pressure appears. And sometimes it's identity. If it's a people-pleasing identity, I'll give you a perfect example of that. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's emotion. Whichever one sits at the top of your hierarchy decides your behavior. So when somebody calls you and asks you to do something and your first thing is, yeah, I'll do it, without even thinking or considering yourself, that's the people pleaser identity that's tapping in. Oh, you thought you was being a good person? Oh, you thought you was being a good person because you said yes immediately as soon as they called you on the phone? You thought you were being a good person because you said yes when they called you and asked you to do something, because I'm always there. The identity of you always being there is why you're always exhausted, because you pride yourself on being the supportive friend. You pride yourself on being the reliable friend. This is where you found your identity. See, let's talk about it. When you find your identity in things other than the truth of your identity, this is how you violate yourself consistently. Okay? Consistently. Because you're operating from a false identity. Or let's just say you're operating from fear, right? I don't want them to think I'm a bad person. I don't want them to look at me like this. I don't want them to do X, Y, Z, right? So because of that fear, you're operating from that. So you could be operating sometimes from a faux identity. Sometimes you can be operating from fear. Sometimes it's just a different emotion. But whichever one sits at the top of your hierarchy really determines how you behave. And this is why two women can experience the exact same situation and make completely different decisions. Because this one woman could be stabilized in her internal hierarchy and understanding her identity, and the woman who does not. Can I tell y'all the truth about something? And this happens a lot with men, right? Women will be with a man for a long time, operating in a people-pleasing identity, operating from a martyr identity, operating from a very dangerous state, and they will get used up by this man for years. Okay? Years. Using him up, right? So He finally leaves. They finally break up, whatever the case may be. And then he goes into another relationship. He immediately marries the woman. He immediately gives her everything that you have been asking for. He immediately this, he immediately that, he immediately this. And you're thinking in your mind, how could this person be with me for all of these years? Right? Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, these comments. And not appreciate me, not do these things for me. I always have to go back and ask, what was your identity in that experience? Were you a martyr? Were you trying to be something you're not? Were you trying to fight for the relationship? Were you trying to save him and heal him? Were you trying to do these things? Okay. So vital and so important for you to realize that when this man approached this woman, she was like, yeah, no, I'm not going for none of that. You could take it or leave it. You could take it or leave. You could be here, but this is how we're gonna do this over here. And so he came over there and he complied with the program. Okay? And the thing that you have to understand is that two women can be dealing with this same man and not be dealing with the same man. This is why you should not be comparing yourself in these scenarios. This is why you have to be very clear on your identity. Because when you're clear on your identity, you're not scared to walk away. And you don't walk away with a whole bunch of explanation either, because you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. Let me see. It's crazy how it's crazy how we always use women as an example when women do the same thing, but I understand you. I'm not here to go back and forth about semantics. I work with women, so that's who I'm talking to. Everything else, I can't relate. I don't work with men. I let the men talk to themselves unless they want to come and talk to me, and then we can have that conversation. But I need you to understand that whatever identity you're operating from is leading your life. So if you're leading and operating from a false identity, then all your results are going to be false. You're not going to be able to sustain the things that you're keeping. And that's scriptural. It tells you in scripture, honestly. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, these comments. Y'all, I'm at 35,000. Thank y'all. All praises. The thing about it is this, you have to understand is that belief impacts biology, and biology influences the way that you behave as a woman. So if you believe that, when women really believe that they are valuable and they are this and they are that, they operate that way. They don't explain their boundaries. They don't complain, right? They don't complain about things. They simply change them. Women who complain about things are women who are not prepared to change anything. That's why I don't allow women to sit around in my space and complain all of the time, because you want to sit around and complain when you really not trying to do anything. It's in Proverbs. I have to find it, but it's in Proverbs where it talks about basically you cannot obtain anything with evil intention and think that you're going to sustain it, because it's not. It is in Proverbs. Okay. So when it comes down to operating, and let me see, hold on, let me go back in. Make sure I'm reading this clearly. So here's the thing. It's real simple. One, your identity is created in the Creator. That's first and foremost. So it literally tells you in scripture that you have a godlike nature. So if you're operating anything other than that, you are already operating from a false identity. And the Most High is not a people pleaser. Play with somebody else. So that's where we can start. We can start in Genesis with creation, because last time I checked, the Creator was like, I'm creating you in my image. That's a godlike image. I'm creating you with my character. That's godlike character. Okay. And then also it speaks on, I'm creating you so that you can have dominion. But see, the key thing is that if you don't have dominion, and this is where I go into internal hierarchy, because dominion has a lot to do with, thank you, my love, Proverbs 11 and 1. A lot of people don't understand when you're operating from a false identity, you cannot have dominion, because you don't even have dominion over yourself. Dominion first starts with, number one, okay? Dominion starts with you being able to be clear on who you are spiritually, being able to dominate your thoughts, meaning that you are not sitting over here overthinking, okay? You know how to manage your emotional responses. And therefore, you know how to create the reality and the results that you actually desire, because you understand that operating from a certain frequency, an internal posture state, which it talks about this in scripture. When it talks about the fruits of the Spirit, it says within the fruit, there is against the fruit, there is no law. meaning that anything that you create operating from those states is long standing, and because you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong that can come up against you when you are operating from that space. Okay. Let me see. Hold on. So let me see. Angel, you're not really making sense, sweetheart. And it seems like it seems like you're seeking a challenge. But what I want to be very clear on this. I don't debate what scripture is. And you have to understand light and dark is a part of duality. So I don't really understand your point. So let me get back to what I'm saying. But I need you to understand, when you are operating from a false identity and you are operating from a state where you lack dominion, you're not going to be able to dominate in this reality. Okay? You're not going to be able to operate in this reality. Okay? Because it's very, 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 very important for you to know that if you can't operate here, dominate in the mind, if the mind is controlling you, if you are led by your emotions, if you are led by your behavior, then you are always going to find yourself in an experience where you're consistently a victim, because you cannot operate from power. And power is necessary to thrive in this world. Okay? Power is necessary to thrive in this world. So in order for you to do that, you have to be extremely clear on who you are. Whose you are. Because I'm going to tell you something. The reason why, and this is true, when you really think about it, do you know why they created things like the corporate system, big pharma, all of these things? So systems were created for people who don't have spiritual grounding. These systems were created, right? Hold y'all questions for me towards the end. I got y'all. These systems were created for people who did not have spiritual grounding. Thank you, my lovey. Thank y'all, 42,000. When you understand who you are, whose you are, and your power, then you don't need a system to create money. You can create money for yourself and operate from a state of entrepreneurship. Why? Because it tells you in Proverbs 8 and 12 that you have creative and witty inventions in your very being, so you should never be broke. You have creative and witty inventions in your very being, according to Proverbs 8 and 12, so you should not be broke. Oh, but you have creative and witty inventions in your very being, according to Proverbs 8 and 12, so you should not be broke. So I don't care what jobs are letting you go or doing this and doing that. You should not be broke because you have creative and witty inventions in your very being. But here's the problem. If you don't know who you are, you can't access those things. See, when I didn't know who I was, I couldn't access that, which is why I settled to work for the Department of Children's Services while they paid me $30,000 and I had a master's degree. See, when you don't understand your value, people will tell you your value. You understand what I'm telling you? Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. Not knowing your identity positions you for poverty, and it positions you to be at the bottom. This is why they have entry-level positions, because they know that you either don't have the skill sets, you don't know you're gifted, and because of that, you will settle for an entry-level position that sacrifices your time, your energy, your attention, and you will allow me as a corporation to tax on your soul to meet my goals. And once you meet my company's goals, I'm going to give you a pizza party. I'm going to give you a company pen. Thank you for providing me and using the highest forms of your currency to elevate my purpose and block your own. Do you understand? These systems were created to keep you a slave, not to free you. This is why even when you got to be careful the people that you employ when it comes down to your spiritual health, your mental health, your emotional health. You understand? Because those are very powerful positions. So you're going to have to start assessing these things, because if you don't, you will find your identity in all these things. And I told y'all, going to a job interview really is a humiliation ritual, honestly. It's a humiliation ritual because they want you to feel small. Why are you nervous walking into a space? You're nervous because you have to put on an identity. You're nervous because you feel like you have to impress them. Wasn't they the ones who put the job off out there? Weren't they the ones that said they was looking for somebody? Doesn't it say in scripture that I call you, then I qualify you? Why is it that, thank you, my lovey, why is it that you got to be qualified before they call you? Y'all don't see the trick. Y'all don't see the trick. Because now you're in there trying to prove your value. LOL, I never perform at an interview. This is not a circus. You do whether you realize it or not, because you still have to go in there and present yourself, present what it is that you are offering. And you have to prove to them why you're a worthy candidate. So it is a performance. It's still a performance. It may not be such a show, but it's still a performance. Because why do I have to be qualified for you to call me and you're going to put me in this entry level position because you know that I need this so much because I'm not aware of my skills. I don't have the skills, or I'm not aware of my gifts. So I will take this position because I need it. And because they know you need it, that's why they treat people at the bottom like that. They treat you like that at the bottom because they know you need them, or they believe that they know you believe that you need them. And they know you have no spiritual connection to the creator because you need them. You've made that corporation your source instead of being plugged into the source, when that corporation was supposed to be a resource foundation for you to come in and learn and make your exit to go do what you're really supposed to do. But you got caught up. You got caught up in the trick. So you end up performing and staying there. And then they even pay attention to the words. Department of Labor, Human Resource. Pay attention to the words. Pay attention to the words. Performance Review. Pay attention to the words. Circus and bread. Circus and bread. Circus and bread. This is the danger of not knowing your identity. You will submit to things and have those things being your source when it's supposed to be a resource. And that's how you hurt yourself. And then you got the nerve to find your identity in a title. You walking in there talking about something, oh, well, tell me about you. Well, I'm this. Circus and bread, baby. Circus and bread. I'm this. I'm the president of this. Then they fire you. Who are you now? Because you found your identity in that title. Y'all don't just do it with 9 to 5s. Y'all do it when it come down to, I'm a wife. He's dead. Your husband died. Now what? Now what? You gonna find your identity in being a widow? Now what? Be very careful making a role your identity. You understand what I'm telling you? Roles are temporary, baby. Thank you, my love, for these gifts, these likes, and these comments. Yes, it is, darling. It is the same. Roles are temporary. Do you understand that? You are here to fuel the woman so that she can operate in her assigned roles. Y'all be taking on roles that ain't even your assignment, and it's because you don't know your identity. Let's get back to it. Good evening and good night, okay? Now, like I said, this is why two women can experience the same situation but make completely different situations. Let's talk about the identity aspect. Humiliation is them showing you that you're replaceable when you ask for more. Oh yeah, baby. You ever want to know if a company values you? Put a 2-week notice in. If they don't come back with more money to keep you, you're replaceable. And they knew that. You've always been replaceable. See, a lot of y'all be trying to prove points by going, putting your 2-week notice, and they be showing y'all they never cared about you. They be showing you they never cared. They be showing you they never cared because you don't add that much value, especially if you at the bottom. If you're not pushing forth their bottom line and shifting them, they don't care about you. See, I've seen people try to leave an experience and people go back in the back and find more money for them. If they ain't found no more money for you, they don't value you. And that's just the truth. That's just the real. So let's get into this part that women, for the most part, don't like to look at, right? There's a very dangerous moment in a woman's life, and it's when she becomes intelligent enough to be able to see the pattern. Okay, baby, is one thing I've never been quick to do is quit a job. Okay, even before I knew the Most High, baby, I knew. I just knew you weren't finna play with me and treat me any kind of way, because this is not that. Never. I'm not a dog, and I can't have it. Okay, so let's talk about this piece. The most dangerous moments, thank you, my love, for these gifts in a woman's life is when she becomes intelligent enough to be able to see the pattern, right? But not trained enough to interrupt the pattern. It's not enough for you to know why your trauma is the way it is. It's not enough for you to know I have anxious attachment style because of XYZ. It's not enough for you to know. You need to interrupt that pattern. If you were walking around here talking about you have an attachment style and different things like that, first things first, I want you to click the link in the bio and take my free diagnostic to get your mind right and get your life right with that. But the second thing I want you to understand is that if you're not willing to interrupt the pattern, then you're going to continue to repeat the process. So this is where it becomes very dangerous for women, right? You're intelligent enough to see the pattern, but not trained enough to interrupt the pattern. So now you just kind of watch yourself repeat it. Can I tell y'all something that's truthful? When y'all be making comments like, oh, this man wasted my time and I wasted my years with this man, the failure is not in the years you spent with somebody. The failures is not, thank you, my love, for these gifts and these likes. The failure is not in you actually, giving that time. You giving that time. Let me plug this phone up so it don't die. The failure is in you allowing yourself to repeat the process. So when women make comments like, dang, I should have left the first time. Yeah, that's what that means. You should have left the first time you saw it because it became a cycle. And when you saw it the first time and you didn't leave, you came into agreement with that cycle. So it could repeat itself over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so it accumulated over the years. That is how you wasted years. This man didn't waste your years. He didn't waste your time. The problem is you became so intelligent. You went to so much therapy. You could quote every single thing and what was happening in your relationship, but you couldn't quote it enough for you to walk. You understand what I'm telling you? You couldn't quote it enough for you to do what you need to do. The diagnostic is on point. I second that notion. Yeah, click the link in the bio and get the diagnostic. It's free. If you want, you'll get a really good executive summary. If you want the full version, it's $10 to get the full report. I say get the full report because that is the lowest ticket item that I have that can really shift and change your life. So I encourage everyone to go over there and check out that, because it really is going to shift your reality about your attraction and how you see things and what's happening in your world. But don't go over there if you ain't ready to face yourself, because to whom much is given, much is required, and the Most High is watching. To whom much is given, much is required, because once I give you the information that I give you in that particular diagnostic, you are responsible for what you know. You can no longer blame men. You can no longer make excuses for the way that you are living, because you will see yourself. Women come to work with me when they're ready to see themselves. Okay? So very vital and very, very important. So like I said, you're able to recognize the flags. You're intelligent enough to see that, but not trained enough to interrupt it. And now you just watch yourself repeating it. So you notice all the red flags. You feel the hesitation in your spirit. You recognize the instability, but you still walk the same pattern. Different men, same pattern. Different opportunity, same internal response. Okay? Same internal response. Different environment, same decision. Okay? You don't have a lack of awareness. Yes, 54K. Thank y'all so much. All praises to the Most High. You don't have an awareness issue. You don't lack awareness. Most women are extremely aware. You lack structural interruption. You need to interrupt the structure. You need to interrupt how you've been operating. Okay? Awareness without interruption is failure. It makes no sense for you to know you have diabetes, but you ain't gonna change your life. Y'all, don't piss me off with that. It's not enough for you to know that you got polycystic ovarian syndrome and not change your life. I used to have it. Keyword used to. It's not enough for you to know you sick and not do nothing about it. That is what you're committing to. And when you do nothing about it, you submit to a master, and it becomes a master over you. It becomes master over you. When you do nothing about it, you submit to it. Y'all don't have an issue with submission. Y'all submit to a lot of stuff. You submit to a lot of stuff that keep you under a spell. So you don't have an issue. Women don't have an issue with submission. Women have an issue with submitting to what's in alignment for them. But you ain't got an issue with submission at all. Never. Okay? We've never had that. So the thing is, awareness without interruption, like I said, is torture. Because now you can see the pattern, but you are still living inside of it. And that is the moment where most women really realize something extremely terrifying about themselves. They realize that the problem has never been the people. It was never the men. Woo! See, it was never them, baby. It was never the homegirls that mistreated you. It was never the corporate system that dogged you out. The problem was the structure. Because you did not know your identity, you allowed yourself to experience things beneath your value. Don't piss me off. That's the problem. Because you don't see yourself, you don't know yourself. So let's get into the structural truth and what that actually looks like. Here's the truth that most people tend to avoid, but they need to start paying close attention to. Okay? Yes, it is a beautiful realization if you have to have if you're ready to change. Here's the truth that most people are avoiding. Okay? Patterns are behavioral circuits. This is why y'all keep going to therapy thinking your life is going to change. When you're in therapy, you're narrating the story. You're just continuing to narrate the process and the story over and over again. There's not really any intervention happening, okay, in the behavior area, because patterns are behavioral circuits, okay? They're not just, oh, I'm just doing this. I don't know why I keep doing this and I don't like him, because you have not shifted the behavioral circuit. That's the issue. Patterns are behavioral circuits, and circuits do not change through knowing about the circuits. Circuits change through interruption. My daddy was an electrician, so you'll hear a lot of stuff like structure and circuits and different things like that, right? Circuits change through interruption, okay? Which means something extremely uncomfortable, okay? You cannot interrupt the pattern while living inside of an environment that reinforces that. You cannot interrupt the pattern. See, this is why when people make the comment like, oh, I couldn't see it while I was in it. I had to come out of it for me to be able to see that I was in a bad scenario. Exactly, beloved. Exactly. You cannot interrupt the pattern while living inside of the environment that reinforces it. You cannot dismantle a behavioral loop while participating in it every single day. This is why motivation fails you. This is why insight fades. This is why the smartest women get played by men with GEDs. What are y'all doing? What is happening right now? It's because you are not shifting the circuit. This is why women who read every single book, listen to every single podcast, hell, watch all my lives, let's get into it, still repeat the same dynamics. Okay? Because the structure never changes. You never shifted the structure. And this is exactly why I created the Pattern Interruption Lab. Okay? The lab is not a course. Let's be clear. Lab is a 28-day tactical, but it is a behavioral correction container. And if for the women who have been in the Pattern Interruption Lab and the women who are going to be joining me again on the 19th, they understand that. For 4 weeks, we do 3 things that changes your entire life. I got an email from one of my amazing clients who was in the Pattern Interruption Lab, and she's going to be joining me for another 8 weeks, because the Pattern Interruption Lab works like this. It's 4 weeks, and then there's a 12-week total. Nobody can come in at 12 weeks. Why can't someone just come in at 12 weeks? Because I don't play that. I need to know you serious, so everybody has to come in on that month. Because when you come in that month, you're going to get results that month. Because I am very results driven, because I understand structure. Yes, the link is in the bio, beloved. And the thing about it is this. When it comes down to the Pattern Interruption Lab, we're going to do 3 specific things over those 4 weeks, and I'm going to break it down for you, okay? So, first things first that we're going to do. We're going to actually identify the pattern. We're going to identify the pattern that is literally currently destroying your life, okay? Number 1, it could be money, it could be relationships, it could be health, but we are going to first identify that pattern. The second thing that's very important is that we stabilize your internal hierarchy so fear and emotion stop leading under pressure. So you stop making decisions out of fear or emotion. I have told y'all I'm a nerd, so everything I teach is rooted in scripture and backed up by science. So the science aspect of this, my nerdiness, is when you are stressed as a woman, and this is science, you can go and look this up. You can go look up anything I'm telling you. And if you feel like you find something I'm incorrect, email me. I'm not above reproach. So scientifically, when women are stressed, the part of your brain that operates on logistics is not working. It goes to the back. What comes forward is like a pressure cooker. So you don't even have the capacity or the wisdom to make a proper decision when you are stressed. This is why you should not make decisions while you're stressed. This is why you should not have conversations while you're stressed. This is why you have to really take a minute, okay? Because your brain is not responding to that. Let me tell you, you know who knows that? Car salesmen know that. That's why fear of missing out is one of the greatest psychological spells of all time, because it tricks you into believing that you're missing something. But the truth is, you believe that you're missing something because you don't realize, and you're not rooted in the truth of, nothing that belongs to you can never really miss you. Nothing that's in alignment for you can never really miss you. But because you don't have that truth embedded in your mind, is not tattooed on your heart, you operate like somebody, who is desperate. And desperate energy is dangerous energy. You remember how desperate Stoney, who that was? You remember how desperate Stoney was in, God, what is that movie? I can't get off Set It Off. Do you see how desperate Stoney was in Set It Off? That she went and laid up with that man because she was operating from a space of desperation. Her brother said, I need this. I don't have the money for school. I don't have the money for school. I don't have the money for school. Not even him telling her the full details of why and what's really going on with school. So all she heard was, oh my God, my brother don't have the money for school. I need to take care of my brother. That's my responsibility. See, I want you to pay attention to the identity now. I got to take care of my brother. That's my responsibility. So even if that means me sacrificing myself, I'm operating from a martyr identity. So let me go ahead and lay on my back and get this money. Let me sell my soul to get this money. You better teach, formidable figure. Absolute. That's it. Let me get this money because I'm desperate. Right? And then she went and did that, and then did it basically for nothing. People understand the fear of missing out. And let me tell you something. She had a second. She had time. She had time to shift her mind, because when she got out the car and she was like, I'm going to buy Nate. And Nate was like, let me tell you something about people who be detached. See, Nate, let me tell you, this is a prime example of knowing your worth and your value. Nate knew he had the power. And this is how a lot of women position themselves to get played by men. Nate knew he had the power because he had something that she felt like she needed from him. And men who have not risen above their carnal nature, men who have not risen above their need to exploit others in order to gain, will take advantage of that. So while she was outside of the car, she had an opportunity to think like, I don't have to do this. I really like this. Ain't even what I have to do. Something else can come through. I'm in a bind, Nate. Nate like starting the car up like, baby, what you finna do? Too detached. Because if I ain't paying you and laying with you, somebody else gonna do it. Somebody else gonna do it. Some other time. Exactly. And what she do get in the car? Fear of missing out. One of the greatest spells of all time. Congratulations, you played yourself. Your brother didn't even need that money. Now you done gave up a part of yourself. You understand what I'm saying? And when you continue to give up pieces of yourself and not understand your identity, people use that against you. You remember that time I helped you out? As soon as you want to start bettering yourself, I remember the time when you had to come lay with me to get the money. Desperation is dangerous. My mother always says a desperate person is a dangerous person. A desperate person is a dangerous person. A desperate person is a dangerous person. Exactly. It's basically almost scrubbed her skin off after. Exactly. Because she knew she had did something to violate herself. She knew she had did something to violate herself because she moved from a faux identity. The identity of being the martyr for her brother. And would it being the martyr for her brother even get her brother even end up dying? So much for martyrism. Now what? Brother dead, now we robbing banks. See how your life can shift just that quickly. Just that quickly. Everything shifted for her. Martyr identity. So the second thing that we do in the lab is that we stabilize your internal hierarchy so that fear and emotion stop leading under pressure. She was under pressure. She felt like she was under pressure. Thank you, my love. Yay, 63,000. Thank y'all so much. All praises. Leading under pressure got her to compromise herself. Okay? So what we do is that we support you in internalizing that hierarchy so you stop compromising yourself when you feel pressure. What I tell y'all from the very beginning and what I do, I guide high capacity women to stabilize internal hierarchy so that money, relationships, health, and leadership don't fragment under pressure, because everything fragments under pressure when you don't know who the hell you are. You can't stand on that. You can't stand on something when you don't really understand the fullness of yourself. Let's get into the third thing that we do. So the third thing that we do in the lab is that we interrupt the behavioral loop in real time, because once the pattern changes, the outcome changes automatically. Once the pattern changes, the outcome changes automatically. I had 8 seats available for the pattern interruption lab. Now I think I have 4 left, because I got one more that signed the contract today. So I have 4 more seats left. Am I doing this right? No, 5. I got 5 more left because 3 people have now come on. We start March the 19th. It is $888. You can get a recliner, affirm, and afterpay. Okay. And the reason why it's only 8 people is because I believe in quality work. Okay. So how it works is we meet every Thursday. I run it like clinic hours. You can come at 12 or you can come at 6. Whichever one you come and you decide to come to, that's where we're going to address your pattern right there in that space. You are welcome to come to the other sessions so that you can get community and you can see other people in that space. And it's a beautiful experience. I have a 0. Hear me when I say this. 0. Hi from Germany. 0 venting policy. We don't trauma bond in my communities because I don't trauma bond in real life. You better ask about me. All my friends will tell you, I am not the friend you can call in and just vent and talk about this man 12 times. Because, baby, the third time you call me about this man, it's the same problem. We need to figure something out, baby. We need a solution, because she don't do that. I don't allow you to be in my space and trauma bond and vent to me and all of this. Do that with your friends. Do that with your friends. And this is exactly why your friends, y'all sit around and y'all do nothing and take nobody's insight or advice. You just continue to have these bonding of trauma and drama. We don't do that over here. Okay? We come in, we address the pattern, we disrupt it, and it's clear. I don't play that. Okay? I don't play that at all. So when you come into the lab, thank you, my love, for these gifts. It's going to be observation, correction, and intervention. That is what we're going to do. This is not, we come in here consuming a bunch of content. I give you frameworks that change your life the first session we have. Okay? I need to upload my testimonials because I've gotten amazing ones from my client who just left. My client, one of the things that my client said was, she was like, Elle, I've been in so many programs. I've been in so many classes. I've been in so many courses. But being in here with you in the lab made all those courses make sense. Being here in the lab with you is what put the piece together. It was the missing piece of why all these other things couldn't come together for me and why I couldn't stick to these things. Interrupting the pattern matters. And if you knew how to interrupt the pattern, you would already do that. Okay? So it's very important and very vital. Come into the space. The second one was stabilize your internal hierarchy so fear and emotion stop leading under pressure. The third one is actually you coming into interrupting the behavioral loop in real time. Okay? So that's the lab. We're starting March the 19th. You can click the link in the bio to be able to get access to it. I do offer Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. That's it. So, or you can pay in full. Now, some of you are not necessarily prepared for the lab, but you still want a session. I have this session and I only have, because I have 7 spots of those left. This is called the structural pattern audit. Okay. So right now, quite a bit of you are in a space and having a realization like, oh my God, I have been watching the same pattern repeat. Once a woman starts to see this thing clearly, she can't go back to pretending that it's random. She cannot deny the architecture once she's actually seen it for herself. You have to stop blaming circumstance. You have to start correcting the structure, okay? And when structure changes, results follow automatically. So if you're listening, you're thinking now, okay, I see the pattern, but I don't fully understand my structure yet, then the first step for you is going to be a structural pattern audit. Those are $197. You can get those with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay. I only have 7 spots left. I opened it up for 10, but I hadn't talked a whole lot about it. 3 of those spots are already gone. They happened very, very quickly. This is, I think, my second or third time maybe talking about it. So you might want to grab them because they're going to be gone, because I need to start sending emails and things about it. So in this private session, let me tell you what we're going to be doing, okay? We're going to map the architecture behind your decisions. I am going to first ask you to take the diagnostic, okay? And then what I'm going to do is show you your attraction patterns. I'm going to show you your pressure responses. I'm going to show you your current internal hierarchy, okay? Because once you see your structure clearly, the repetition stops feeling mysterious. It stops feeling like, oh my God, like, okay, I don't know why I'm doing this. Now you get to see exactly where you're operating from. The patterns then become visible. And because the patterns are now visible, they're able to be interrupted, okay? So if you're ready to go deeper, then the lab is open for you. But if you're not ready for the lab yet, then start with the structural pattern audit. But either way, it's extremely important, right? Either way, the most important moment has already happened. You see yourself. You see the patterns. And once a woman sees the architecture that's actually running her life, she can finally shift and change that. So if you really want to shift and change that and create a brand new reality for yourself, schedule a session for $197. Like I said, I only have 7 of those left. Once that link stops working, it's over with. You can get it with Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay, yes. So click the link in the bio to get that, or you can come into the Pattern Interruption Lab for $888, where you're going to be with me for 4 weeks. It's going to be amazing. In their 4 weeks, we meet, like I said, every Thursday. And we also have a Telegram community where we're consistently communicating during the week. So the way the communication channel works with Telegram is when you have a moment of activation, when you have a moment where you're being triggered, it's a pattern popping up, you can text in the group and I give you right then and there a live solution. I'm very hands-on with my clients which is why I only work with a small few. I'm very hands-on with my clients. I want my clients to understand the experience. I want quality work, because quality work that is consistent is going to produce results. And this is why I continue to get the results that I get from my clients. They make more money. They get healthier, they have better relationships with the masculine, and they have healthier relationships with the feminine. Why is the last one so important? How does that trigger? How do they have better dating experience? I've had women improve their marriages. I don't like to talk about a lot of the outcomes because people get excited. Yes, women have worked with me and gotten engaged. Yes, women have worked with me and improved their marriages. Yes, women have worked with me and had better dating experience. Yes, women have worked with me and gotten better results in their current relationship. This is all factual information. This is all true. I have testimonials to back all of this up. But the reason why they're able to do that is because they improve the relationship with themselves first. So that is what I teach. Everything that you get outside of that is a byproduct of that experience. You loving yourself, okay? Yes. And so I also have the Structural Elevation Society that is going to be dropping on March the 15th. It is a program for entrepreneurs who really want to come into the space of understanding the psychology behind selling your client, the things, the structure, all the things that you need to have so people can pay you right, pay you well. It's going to be happening. It's going to be on Substack. So that's going to be dropping on March the 15th. If you're on my email list, you will understand and you will get first dibs on that formidable figure. I'm DMing you because you was the first one. So as soon as it's coming, I'm sending you the link immediately. It's going to be $197 a month. And you're going to get some amazing information and structure to be able to set up your business. Okay. So what questions do you guys have for me? I'm going to answer those questions. Like I said, click the link in the bio to get access to schedule your one-on-one session with me. Click the link in the bio to get access to information on the Pattern Interruption Lab. If you click on the Pattern Interruption Lab, you have to scroll down and click the link that says, I think it's like start here or something like that. Once you click the link, it's going to take you to your payment. Once you make your payment, I'm going to send you a contract. once you sign your contract, I'm going to send you your paperwork on March the 12th, because March the 12th is when pre-work is going out for the women who are going to be in the cohort on the 19th. The pre-work is going to go out, which is going to include a pattern recognition lens, so you can see clearly what's going on in your reality and in your life. And then we can start addressing the pattern immediately on the 19th. When you come in on the 19th, it's like this. Boom, boom. I'm teaching this, and then we're going straight into the patterns. And that's literally how it goes every session. I'm like, okay, we checking in from the last time. We teaching this, boom, boom, boom. Let's check in from the last session. Okay, how we coming with the pattern? Women who have come through the Pattern Interruption Lab, and it's crazy because I was only going to run the Pattern Interruption Lab one time. But because I got such great results from my clients, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep running the Pattern Interruption Lab, and I'm going to extend it a bit. So if you come in, like my client who's going to be coming back, she came in for the 4 weeks. She was like, this was so amazing and changed my life. I need the other 8 weeks. So she signed on to have another 8 weeks. So she's one of the ones that's taking the spot. So like I said, for the Pattern Interruption Lab, I only have 5 more spots left. Okay. Also, if you want the structural pattern audit session, I only have 7 spots left for that at $197. And those are going to go pretty fast. I haven't been able to go live this week to talk more about them, but hold tight, they're going to go fast. So you want to go ahead and grab one of those. Once you make your payment for the structural pattern audit, you're going to get an email with a link to schedule your session. Go ahead and schedule your session. And I can't wait for you to have your session, because then we're going to send out some information on a little bit of pre-work information for you, so I can get that information so that our session runs smoothly. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Lovey. Thank you for being here. Any questions? Any questions? Because I got to get dressed and I got to go, child. Is the pattern interruption recorded for replay? Yes. So let me tell you how it works with that. So when women come into the Pattern Interruption Lab, we have the noon session, and we have the 6 p.m. session, right? By the next day or either that evening, both sessions are going to be uploaded into the Telegram group. So even if you weren't in, let's say you get in one session and you wanted to watch another one, but you couldn't get there, you'll be able to watch both sessions. Excuse me. And that was one thing that I found was very beneficial to my clients, being able to see others, see how their patterns, find connections, connect, all of those things. So it's been really, really beautiful with that. So yes, you definitely will be getting replays of that for your community. Okay. And then all of the information that we get, you have access to all of it for a year. So yeah. Also click the link in the bio. Like I said, y'all go take that diagnostic. That's the main thing. Go take that diagnostic, because the diagnostic is also going to let you know if you need to get something else. Like if you have attachment issues and that's your biggest thing, it's probably going to recommend Loving the Nervous System for you, and you can get access to it through that. Okay. Loving the Nervous System is for women who struggle with attachment issues around men and money, and it will help you rectify all of that. Okay. Loving the Nervous System is definitely a crowd favorite. They love loving it. The baby, the girls love Loving the Nervous System, honey, because it teaches you the science of attraction and feminine magnetism. So it helps you elevate your life. How do we get our appetite in control? You have to get to the root of the issue. You have to get to the root of the issue if you want to address your appetite. So what is the energy and the spirit behind the appetite? Is it lust? Is it greed? That's the thing. Even when you look at something as simple as big back activity, right? Which is what people like to say, oh, big back. Big back activity is nothing but lust and gluttony, kind of like mixed together, right? It's lust and gluttony mixed together. Gluttony is one of those things where you go past the signal of it, you go past the signal of stopping. You just continuing, and lust like draws you into a space until you like have it. And I think the dangerous thing about that is the root of it is a lack of control. So we have to get down to the bottom and the truth of your issues around control. Okay. Your issues around the way that you see yourself, your identity, because everything is really rooted back to your identity anyway. Because if you love yourself, then why do you keep overeating? If you love yourself, why do you keep spreading yourself all over the place? So if you know who you are and how powerful you are, why are you positioning yourself for everyone to take from your power? Everything goes back to, again, identity. Okay. Does it also touch on attachment and performance in leadership? No, it just strictly focuses on feminine magnetism and the science of attraction. Do you still do podcasts? I have podcasts on my Substack. I haven't recorded a podcast episode since January. I'm gonna start back once I finish everything with the Structural Elevation Society, and that's for the business owners. Once I knock that out, I'll probably start back recording podcast episodes, maybe end of March, April, early April, something like that. Okay. Any other questions? Click the link in the bio to be able to take their free diagnostic. Click the link in the bio to get access to any of the products and services that I am talking about. Like I said, if you're interested in the lab, check it out. If you're interested in, hi Lovey, if you're interested in scheduling a one-on-one session with me, grab those, because after that one-on-one session, there's not going to be any more of those. There are not going to be any more 197 sessions. So you better get them now while they last. You better get it now while you last. You're welcome. All right. Okay, guys, I think I'm about to get off here so I can start getting ready so I can go. I hope, yep, Substack. Click the link in the bio to get access to my Substack, the Red Knowledge Tree. Click the link in the bio over there. The one-on-ones are life-changing. Thank you, Lovey. Is there a new link for Telegram chat for the code? It says that the link expired. It did expire because it's the code Telegram group was only supposed to be for that time frame when the order code was going on. I've considered running the order code one more time, but I have to make sure that it's going to be quality first. But it was running during the actual time when the code was going on, so it's not running now. Any other questions? I'm having problems finding the diagnostic. I don't have Linktree, boo. It should be in there. Once you click the link in my bio, the first thing should come up should be the diagnostic. In fact, let me check. The first thing that should come up, I think, should be the diagnostic, and then after that, I think it goes into the structural audit. Yes. So the feminine architecture system is the first one. I joined the code after the first call. What link? Because the code group is not active. The order code needs a repeat because yes. I don't have a I don't know why your link or why you had an expired link. We're gonna have to see what's going on with that. If I can't rectify that, what I'll do for you, Stephanie, because you got it, because I remember when you got it. What we'll do is we'll do a one-on-one. We'll do a one-on-one. So what I need you to do is to shoot me a DM, and then I'm going to send you a link, okay? And then we can schedule a 30-minute session there to be able to get some stuff going, okay? So are corporate jobs bad? I can't tell you what's good or bad. Good or bad is subjective. Is it an alignment for you is the question. That's what you got to ask yourself. Is it in alignment with you? Because that's what matters. It's bad for you if it's not in alignment with you. Corporate is bad for me. I'm keep it real with you. Corporate is horrible for me. Working in corporate, I was a horrible wife. Let's talk about it. See, I can keep it real. I was a horrible wife. I was horrible to myself. I was not healthy when I was in corporate. I was sad when I was in corporate. I was not the best version of myself when I was in corporate because I was allowing them to tax on my soul to meet their goals. So that didn't work for me. Hi, Rocky. So it's not an alignment for me. Okay. So yeah, make sure it's an alignment for you. Because some people, I'm not even gonna be like, oh, not everybody, like, make sure it's an alignment for you. And sometimes corporate, at the time when I was working in corporate, it was necessary in order for me to learn things, the things I need to know and to meet certain people. But long term, corporate bad for my health. Literally. Literally, okay? So click the link in the bio to be able to schedule your one-on-one sessions for $197. Like I said, I have about 7 of those left. I don't know. I'm going to check after this. I may or may not. I don't know. And then also click the link in the bio if you want more information on the lab, okay? The lab, the diagnostic, the one-on-one sessions. Go ahead and click the link in the bio to be able to get access there and sign up for my Substack and all those great things. But let me know if you have any questions in regard to this, right? Shoot me a DM. and I will gladly support you and answer your question. Don't come. We don't do no trauma stuff up here, okay? Just don't come up here with that. But your question, I got you. All right. Okay, y'all. Let me get up here because I gotta get dressed and get myself together. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing weekend. Happy Feminine Friday. So glad that y'all joined me on today. Thank y'all so much for being here. It was truly, truly a great live. Please remember and understand what I'm telling you. You cannot create a new reality from an old identity. You're so welcome, Lovey. Can't wait to see you. Look, week after next. Can't wait to see you week after next. That's my client, that one of my clients that was in the pattern interruption lab, the Phoenix Rising Lifestyle. And that's the one who's actually coming back for another 8 weeks. She's amazing. And I read your emails, but I didn't get to respond because I've been traveling. I'm on the East Coast right now, but I'm responding on Sunday because thank you so much for the things that you said, just for your trust, and just for just doing the work. Thank you for just doing the work. You came in and you got amazing results in these 28 days, and I cannot wait to see what the next 8 weeks are going to be. I'm super, super excited. So just thank you. All right, y'all. I gotta go. How do I get my question answered, please? What's your question, baby? You called me right when I was gonna go. What's your question? So I can answer it for you, go. Because if it was about the appetite, I already answered it. If it's the appetite, I already answered it, but you're going to have to catch it on the YouTube replay. It's going to be playing tomorrow. But if you can drop it for me, I will gladly answer your question before I get out of here. Wait a minute. Any other questions too? Okay. Thank you for the follow. Thank y'all so much for the follows and likes. And we made it to 67,000. Yay. All praises. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I was pushed out of my job for whistleblowing. Now I'm out of a job. Have we looked into suing them? Because people be scared to sue people. I ain't scared to sue nobody. It's first and foremost. Do you have a case where you can sue? Because I will go straight on down to the EEOC real quick. Do you have documentation? See, I'm a documentation queen, baby. You can't do one thing to me, baby, when I'm on it. Okay? You talk to me wrong. Write it down. Time stamped. What you said, and I'm going to follow up with an email based on our previous conversation. So do you have receipts? If you have receipts, then you can do something with that. In the meantime, if you got those receipts, start gathering them up. If you don't have receipts, then it's time for you to start tapping into the creative and witty inventions in your very being. It's time for you to start assessing yourself for the skill sets and the gifts that you have. It's time for you to start looking at every single job that you work and all the skills that you have acquired. And if you have forgotten, beloved, what I need you to do is go back and assess all of those job descriptions and pull out the skill sets that you have mastered. And then I need you to go and see what skill sets of those are in current demand. And then I need you to get active. And you probably should schedule a session with me so we can work this out. Due to at will law, they can do this. It's a school district. That's still not my point. Did they violate you in a way to where you have receipts? Because I've been in a position where I've been fired from an at-will state, right, in an at-will state when I was working. So if you got receipts, you still can make some moves. You have to assess yourself for receipts. If you don't have receipts, then you might have to take that L. Okay, then. So we got receipts, then we need to go to EEOC. So we have receipts, we need to go to EEOC. But in the meantime, we have to be figuring out our skill sets that we have that are in demand, so that we can create something that people will pay us at a high level for. So if you were at a school system, I would be looking at the problems that were in that school system, and I would see how I could be a consultant, maybe at charter schools, maybe at private schools. I don't know, maybe at home schools. But there's so many different ways that you can make money. Tap into those skills that you gain from that corporate, and tap into those gifts according to Proverbs 8 and 12. Okay. So it's very vital and very important that you do so. Okay. Now I can't hear what he's saying. Oh, you have to do a replay. But get your skills. It looks like you joined again. Get your skills. Gather your skills from all the jobs and things that you've worked, skills that you've mastered. Focus on the creative and witty inventions that you have in your very being that are extremely natural gifts that you may have been sleeping on. People sleep on soft skills. Don't sleep on the soft skills. Soft skills get you paid. Hard skills may get you in the door, but soft skills is what continues to keep you paid. So pay attention to your skill set. Assess those for what's in demand currently. Create something from that reality using your creative and witty inventions in your very being, the natural gifts that you have, and go make the money. Literally. And be suing them in the process. Why are you getting your money? That's your best bet. I would say that's how I be moving. That's how I be moving. Okay? All right, loves, I gotta go for real because I'm late. So I told the people I was gonna be there at noon and I'm not there. So let me go ahead and get myself together. I hope that y'all have an amazing, amazing day. Click the link in the bio to get access to any resources or anything that you may need from me. And I will talk to y'all soon.